Hey everyone, it's Dr. Jennifer Benjamin here with the Philadelphia Child and Family Therapy Training Center. We're so excited you're joining us. We have had a long time partnership in training in Philadelphia, and we are so lucky today. We have with us Christina Carr, the Senior Executive Director at Bethana. Hey, Christina.
Hi, Jen. Thanks so much for having me.
As we continue our mission at the training center, one thing that we're finding is implementing ESFT organizationally across services has really allowed for greater continuity of care, warm handoffs, consistency in clinical conceptualization. And we know that Bethana has been diligently working on this. So Christina and I are going to be talking today about her experience and leadership, as well as moving across services within the organization. Christina, can you talk about what aspect of your training experience with us has most influenced you as a professional and a leader?
It's nice, Jen, because they go so nicely together. I think as a professional, all of us in training, your master's training, they do a lot of individual work, and there's not a whole lot of, there's maybe one class on family systems. And so as we enter the field, you're very focused on the individual. And starting my journey in ESFT about 10 years ago, Bethana's been doing ESFT since 2014. Being able to really think about the family systems, what's going on, slowing it down, understand what the family is going through. Such a nice framework to be able to engage families that the training in your education doesn't allow for. Moving into my leadership role, being a part of the supervisory groups and training enhance your skills as a supervisor. It enhances your skills and your confidence. And it just goes so nicely with the work that you're doing, because you're working with the family on what their struggles and challenges are. And then you're working as a supervisor and a leader on what your staff is doing. Being able to experience that in both aspects, hearing the truth of the distress of not just the family, but of the clinicians that you're supervising.
So many powerful things you're talking about. Mental health treatment is not easy at all anymore, no matter what level of care you're working at. The acuity is high. The need to, or the urgency that gets created around decision making doesn't align with what actually families need, right? That urgency. And so I love how you're punctuating that the model really implores people to slow down and to think about the problem in context, and then it all becomes solvable, right? But I also got chills when you were just talking about that isomorphic process, that new clinicians, senior clinicians, supervisors, when we all turn to the model together, we all get this belief that it's okay that we're humans, it's okay that we're feeling, it's okay if we're nervous, anxious, if we're speeding up, because we believe that that's going to happen, right? Crisis is part of the change. The induction is part of the change. So there's no shame around being a human authentically in treatment. You don't have to be an expert. You just have to follow the model.
Our journey with ESFT in working in BHRS, back when BHRS, before IBHS, we put it through our clinical transition and stabilization program, and then our outpatient program. And so when you're thinking about the different systems that children and families go through, from higher levels of care to lower levels of care, it's really been integral in being able to work the model, even if it's just a little piece of the model in a short period of time, to be able to get the family to really understand that they're an important, and that they are the important system of change here, so that when they hit the other levels of care, it's already infused as a part of the process, and the families not the families aren't as skeptical and you're not hearing me and I don't want to be here. We're already using the language from a systems approach.
So that's gotta influence the joining, right?
Absolutely.
Like it has to, like, I'm just sitting here thinking about, you know, maybe they enter through the stabilization program and yeah, maybe they only get a couple hours of treatment, but that treatment, the message, the meta message is, you're the best resource for change in this family. It's you guys.
Yeah.
And that you have strengths that can allow you to be elevated and lead this family. And then they transition and there's another set of professionals sending the same message.
Right.
Inspiring, right? Like it for everybody, because you just keep the traction.
And through that, we've had kids who have started off in one of our crisis programs, have stepped down to, you know, maybe IBHS or our CTSS, our transition program, and have gone to outpatient and have been able to not go back into the hospital, to not step up a level of care, and to be able to be successfully discharged. So we've had multiple cases along the way.
What have you seen your organization be able to do and innovate and be creative about?
Yeah, I think about it in a few different ways from staff retention perspective.
Oh, talk about it. Talk
and leader. Yeah.
Everybody's leaning in now, Chris. Everybody's leaning in now.
And leadership growth. We have multiple directors, multiple supervisors now in multiple levels of care that have either gone through ESFT as a clinician, have moved up to supervisor, have moved into a director role, to people that have come to us as a clinician with ESFT training before Beth Anna that have moved into supervisory roles, that have moved into director roles. Being able to retain staff, it's being able to take a moment and slow down and really hear what's going on, not just with the family, but what's going on for the staff member. And so I think that piece of staff feeling heard, staff feeling understood, and staff being able to have valuable tools in their resources to be able to go back to the family to feel successful, right? We get into the field because we want to help families and we want to be successful. And so when we can help our staff do that, they feel valued and they want to be able to stay and continue to grow.
Professional growth and job retention. It is a challenging concept because people want to feel competent.
Yes.
But how can people feel competent in the throes of crisis and chaos, right?
Yeah.
And using a clinically coherent, theoretically sound model is definitely one way to empower people. And especially when you use it isomorphically with the families, but with the staff, right? When they're in supervision, the supervisor can remember, you need to see the clinician's concerns, understand them, respond to them, because then people want to stay in a place where they feel nurtured and heard, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. But there's a whole other system that's involved with these families: foster care, cool workers, DHS, school counselors.
Wow. Being
able to be trained in the model, you hear the truth of everybody's distress, Jen, so you can then work to get everybody aligned.
Yep.
And on the same page. So everybody wants the same treatment outcome. But if you don't stop and slow down and hear what everybody's concerns are and really understand, it's hard to get everybody on the same page. And so as an agency that's also a community umbrella agency, we have foster care, being able to really hear what our workers are experiencing and what the truth of their distress is. Because it could be the parent's going to call me and ask for their removal. Yeah. And I have to find a placement for a really hard child. And that puts a lot of stress on that co-worker. So being able to use the model with with all of the systems involved, not just with the family, helps everybody to surround the family.
What advice would you give to an organization that's considering systemic training with PCFTTC?
The first thing I think about is being vulnerable. There are a lot of trainings out there, and you sit through the training. There's not a lot of interaction. You get given all of this information, and then you're told to go out and implement it. ESFT is an engagement training. You're constantly working on the skills. You're using the skills in the moment and getting live feedback from your trainers, which is so rare to find. So definitely being vulnerable, sending leadership through it is really important. My upper leadership has all been through ESFT. And so it diffuses down, right? From your CEO to your vice principals, to your directors, to your supervisors, to your staff. And so it becomes a way of thinking and a way of interacting with each other. So being open to that, preparing your clinicians to be vulnerable and to know that it's a safe space to be able to share your thoughts and to share your concerns. And just like we're saying in here, you know, we're seeing, we're understanding, we're responding, they're doing the same thing in training. The trainers see your anxiety levels. They can see that you're nervous about it, but really putting yourself out there to engage and be consistent with it. And then I would say, infusing it in supervision, having your own set of clinical groups outside of ESFT as an agency to be able to talk about it.
Oh my gosh, Chris.
I know.
Yes, Chris. Yes.
Yeah. You can't just rely on the trainers to do it all for you. You have to adapt it within your organization.
If you want a training where you will grow as a professional and learn how to foster your own growth and development, then we're the people for you.
Absolutely.
Like, being systemic means you've committed to working your own growth and development, seeing everybody for what they are doing, not what they aren't doing.
Yes.
And seeing their strengths.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, folks, I mean, if you're not in it now, I don't know, right?
Get in it. It's an amazing It's an amazing training.
Yeah, jump in, y'all. So grateful, Christina. Thank you so much for your time today. And I know that everybody's going to benefit from our time together. And you too can build your organization to be systemic and strength-based and context-sensitive and trauma-informed. Bye, Christina.
Thanks, Jen.